Did you know that traders in 7 Days to Die aren't all the same? They have specializations which govern the items that can appear in their inventories. But what are they? All this information comes directly from the XML files of the game, by the way. I say that because some people definitely have some interesting opinions on if these specializations even exist, and more importantly, what those specializations are, but it is pretty straightforward to verify through the game files. Traders have a table of things that they all share. This includes ammo, food, gunpowder, clothes, paint, weapon parts, books, seeds, tools, construction supplies, medicine, workstations, and many trap items like blade traps. And there's almost nothing that one trader can have that the others won't also have a chance of having. But the specializations will make sure that each of the individual traders has more of a particular item. Let's start with everybody's favourite trader, Federect. Federect specializes in seeds and food. Pretty boring. But what does it mean? Well, it essentially means that you'll generally get more raw meat, animal fat, cornmeal, seeds, and canned food at Federect than other traders, which is a very dull specialization. That's why we're getting wrecked out of the way quickly. Someone a little bit more interesting is Trader Jen. She, as you would probably expect, specializes in medicine. Now she has a lot of extra chances to have the regular medicine loot table, which is painkillers, bandages, blood bags, vitamins, pretty much all the things you would expect from that loot table. Here's the exciting thing about Jen. She has a bunch of extra chances to spawn the medicine loot table, but the medicine loot table contains the rare medicine loot table as well, and the rare medicine loot table contains the things you would expect again, like fort bites, Grandpa's moonshine, and recog. Far more interestingly, it also contains cigars and beakers, two of the rarer items in the game. So Jen gets a bonus chance of medicine, and by extension rare medicine, and by extension she has the highest probability to give you a beaker or a cigar. She also has an extra boost to her rare medicine loot table straight up, giving her even more chances to give you beakers and cigars. In fact, one time, Jen gave me 4 cigars in her inventory. I'm not kidding, that is 100% real. I was testing her inventory in single player by repeatedly restocking it, and one time she straight up just had 4 cigars for sale. Probably quite a rare occurrence, but it is pretty common for her to have at least 1 cigar, and for her to have a beaker, which is very helpful for everybody because the cigar gives you a 10% discount and +1 strength, and beakers are of course used in chemistry stations. Jen is the perfect trader early on, as she can get you those items as well as having a very high chance of giving you some kind of medicine. Particularly, first aid bandages are pretty common and very cheap from her. Moving back to another boring trader though, we have Trader Joel. He specializes in armor. Generally, a trader will have a mix of heavy and light armor, usually between 0 and 5 pieces. Joel can have a lot more. He can still occasionally have absolutely no armor, but you'll frequently see upwards of 7 or 8 mixed pieces of armor. The higher chance of spawning armor also gives him a higher chance to generate higher level armor as well, since he has more shots for the rarer armors to drop. Pretty boring, although I could have sworn Joel used to specialize in tools, but after triple checking the files, no, they must have removed that. Presumably they thought it made him too similar to the next trader. That, or I Mandela'd myself into thinking that that was a thing. Either way, it doesn't really matter. Trader Joel does not give you an extra chance for any kind of tools, but Bob does. Bob specializes in tools and vehicle parts. Unfortunately, Bob's extra tool chance isn't as excellent as it sounds. Instead of having bonus chances to drop augers and chainsaws, it's pretty much just the iron tier stuff. Bob has an extra chance to give you iron pickaxes, shovels, fire axes, and sledgehammers, as well as claw hammers and wrenches, as well as repair kits, anvils, bellows, forged iron, forged steel, paintbrushes, and wiring tools. Now those aren't as flashy as augers, but they are some really handy stuff for a trader to have more of, particularly the wrench and the forged iron early on. But fortunately, if that is a bit boring for you, Bob does have his other boost, vehicle parts. This really does give you a slight chance of getting things you rarely see in general trader inventories, things like gyrocopter chassis and accessories, or 4x4 parts, or even placeable versions of either of them. But still, he has more chances to give you the more common vehicle parts, like wheels, engines, bicycle parts, and motorcycle parts, or placeable versions of either of those. It's worth noting that these things are generally saved for the secret stash of most other traders, but Bob gets them in his main inventory pretty frequently, and he has a chance to get them in his own secret stash, so he has a very high chance, relatively speaking, to give you a vehicle part of some kind, so he's definitely your best bet when it comes to vehicles. And finally, we have Trader Hugh. That is a lot of weapons. He specialises in weapons, both ranged and melee, and ammunition, as well as the crafting items required to make ammo, like gunpowder and bullet casings, and the crafting items required to make weapons, like weapon parts. Worth noting though that Hugh does not have an extra chance to give you tier 3 guns like auto shotguns or sniper rifles, and he doesn't give you an extra chance for tier 2 melee weapons like steel sledgehammers or steel clubs. Primitive and iron melee weapons all spawn more frequently in Hugh's inventory, and tier 1 guns like 9mm pistols and AK-47s, as well as tier 2 guns like 44 magnums and pump action shotguns will all spawn more frequently at Trader Hugh. This is very good early on for more guns, and of course the extra ammo could come in handy later. And you can really see it when you open his inventory. Usually traders will have a couple of weapons, but Hugh is sometimes packing enough heat to arm a small army. Now you may be wondering if these secret stashes have any differences between the traders, and unfortunately after combing the files it doesn't appear so. They have the same secret stashes with no specializations. Don't worry though, the secret stash is getting removed in Alpha 21 anyway, eliminating any real need for me to talk about it right now. But for now, it's the same loot table between all 5 of them. Did you know that my patrons and members get early access to these videos? If that interests you, it'll be linked in the description. If you want more 7 Days to Die content, why not check out my complete guide to traps and turrets. Thank you to my channel members and patrons for making this video possible, and thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.